Heretics. It's that time of the week again. More largely misguided and often nonsensical metal-related waffle. It's just me and the Holy Man this week. We're missing a voice of reason, so hopefully it doesn't get out of hand, but we'll see. Fortunately, though, we're joined by Dan and Alex from Verminthrone.
Yo.
Come on to shamelessly plug their wares, basically. Gents, how are you? And welcome to this god-awful pit of misery. It's an hour of your life you're never going to get back.
No, honestly, thanks for having us. Very happy to be here.
No, absolutely. We're glad to have you. You know, when we were first in touch back last year and, you know, I first sort of listened to you guys, I was like, yeah, this is kind of up my street. And, you know, conversations back and forth, it made sense to get you on. You got an album out next week. And, you know, it's only right to come on and talk about it. So for those who don't know who you are, who the fuck are Verminthrone?
You want to go, Alex?
Mate, I'll go after you. You're the front man.
Right, yeah, so Verminthrone are just five cunts, basically, who make shit music.
That's what we like.
But no, five blokes who met on fucking Join My Band a few years ago. We make sludge, groove, hardcore. Basically, I like to call it music, the soundtrack to your suicide. That's what I like to think of it as.
Nice.
So nice, easy listening. A bit like
straight to the point.
Lionel Richie in the same category, I reckon.
I was more thinking sort of Lighthouse Family and
yeah,
that kind of thing. I can definitely hear that in the mix.
Stuff your nan likes.
But look, like I said, what I heard initially when first got in touch, I really liked, and you know, you've sent us the album. We've had a really good listen to that, and that you guys should be fucking dead proud of that. It's, you know, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass either. From what I've heard so far in 2024, it's been one of my favorite releases. So, you know, it's right up my street. It's riffs and it's filthy. It's always going to sort of flick my switch. So, yeah, look, and the name Verminthrone as well. Where did that come from? Because
I was going to ask that.
It suits the sound. Do you know what I mean? You see that name and you just think, yeah, it's going to be heavy and filthy and sludgy. And who come up with that?
It was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? Because for about 2 weeks, we were going to be a doom band, and we were thinking of like the formula that you use to create doom band names, like, you know, something to do with weed and something to do with fantasy. So like, you know, fucking bong druid or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we decided that we didn't want to go down like the fantasy route. What we were looking at loads of like just grim stuff, really. We just wanted it to be like grim but kind of realistic. And then we found, what was it called? The Rat King? Was that what it called, Dan?
Oh yeah, the tail, yeah. And then we just kind of told them that rabbit hole.
A bunch of rats who, it's like a real phenomenon where rats, like their tails get tangled up together and they basically just form this like massive disgusting rat.
I've seen this. My 15-year-old daughter showed this to me a few weeks back and was like really proud of it for some reason.
That's basically what happens for us when we get drunk, you know, we just fucking
we fuse together.
Yeah, it's not our tails, it's our cocks, but
yeah.
So you end up like a human centipede then, that kind of fucking...
Yeah, but like frontal kind of thing, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
If you want to see Verminthrone, you know, now's the fucking reason to see that monstrosity, the after party. But we did have a few names originally, didn't we? We started with Deathcap was like the first original.
Oh shit, yeah, it was, yeah.
And then it was...
it was like a Latin-y sounding one, I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I can't even fucking remember, but it was like the third or fourth name that we fell on that we just agreed, and we're like, you know, when you've been looking into something for so long, you just get fed up and you're like, yeah, fuck it, this one's gonna stick, we're happy with it, let's just go.
Sometimes you could overthink it, couldn't you? And you try and be a bit too clever, whereas like I said, it suits the music. It's, you know, that sort of grubby, grimy, filthy, the image is right kind of thing. Just quickly before we go on, who had the V tattoo? Which one of you was that?
Matt.
Okay, that's quite. So it's not something you've all done then, as some kind of.
Not yet. I don't know. I think it's in contention, but Matt's got
one fan that's got a tattoo that beat Matt to the punch, which is good.
Yeah,
that's quite cool. To be fair.
Yeah.
pretty sure someone I know is going to get a back piece done for our headline album release show. He's been telling me for months he's going to get a whole back piece done. So
That's
his shirt is off within what, like fucking 10 seconds into the first
Oh
song.
yeah, like as he comes into the venue, he's already taken his shirt off to my he's a fucking nutter.
I got those of us who don't take our clothes off in public have got no time for the likes of that. It just it stays undercover. It's like, yeah, all right, fair enough. You can flaunt yourself, but yeah,
I don't even like taking my clothes off for the shower. So
yeah, I shower fully clothed. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. How did you all guys to get together then? How did you all meet?
It was I hadn't picked up a guitar in ages, and it was like towards the end of lockdown, and I googled like join bands in High Wycombe or something like that, like where I live, and I found this website called Join My Band, and Dan had posted, like, it really wasn't long before, was it, Dan? It was like fucking like a few days.
Yeah.
And he put something like, you know, haven't been in a band for a couple of years, want to do like something doomy, sludgy, you know, I'm into these type bands.
Well, I Hate God was like one of the main ones, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I hadn't met anyone that liked I Hate God like, up until that point. So I was like, fucking, here's my number, like, like give me a ring. And then Dan had already been speaking to the bassist Pal, who you were going to do something, and then lockdown obviously ruined it, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then Matt answered to the same advert as well, and we got together for a beer and chatted about what we wanted to do, and that was all good. And then we had a few practices, and then Adam, the drummer, responded to the ad as well, and that was it.
Yeah, but it was kind of mental thinking about how much, when I look back to like the first, like saying that, oh, I want to be in a band that's like influenced by I Hate God, and then less than 2 years into a band, we're supporting I Hate God in our local venue.
Nice.
You know, like our fourth show was Bloodstock. Like, this is just fucking ridiculous. Like, it's to go that high that quick is kind of amazing, but also like a little bit of
how does that happen then? So how did like Bloodstock put you on the bill? Were you recommended by like another band or something? Or?
Was that Metal to the Masses? Was it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was our first ever show was Metal to the Masses, and we just wanted to play and get a bit of experience, whatever. And then we won that one, and then there's like heats and semi-finals, finals, whatever. And we ended up winning the whole thing, and then ended up playing at Bloodstock.
That's fucking nuts.
I think that whole new Blood Stage thing at Bloodstock is brilliant. I've been a few times over the years, been to Bloodstock countless times, but been for the last 2 years. And in particular in that stage, when there's nothing else to do, you know, you can go in there and you're going to catch something you've never seen before, you never heard before. And it's a great opportunity, because before you know it, you could be playing to a couple of thousand people. You know, if the timing's right.
Well, for us, definitely wasn't.
For us, we didn't have good timing. Nope.
What was the overall experience like, though? Did you get a chance to actually get around the rest of the site, and do you meet anyone while you were there? And
we were lucky because we played on the Friday. What was it? It was about 5:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like we were all shitting ourselves on the Friday, but obviously we could enjoy the Saturday and Sunday once it was all done. But yeah, no, it was really, really cool. It's very like professional, obviously, like it's a big festival, but like we weren't used to that, and it was like you have to be here at this time, and your equipment has to be here at this time, and you have to whatever do all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we were shitting ourselves, and then we clashed with Exodus, and there was an exodus of people in the New Blood stage. So
yeah. Well, you're going to say Exodus or a band's like 4th or 5th gig? Like, come on, I wouldn't go to see us. Like, fucking Exodus.
Yeah, I was watching Exodus, I must admit. So sorry about that, but it's a great thing, and it's obviously worth your while. You must have. Did anybody recognize you while you were walking around the site over the weekend after playing?
Nah. We saw a couple of T-shirts, but no one recognised.
Yeah, see, that's it. I think if you get across to 2 or 3 people, it's worth it. Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, you were there that weekend, right? Do you remember how insanely hot it was.
It was unbearable.
It was brutal, and I think quite a lot of people came into the New Blood stage just to like get in the shade. So that kind of did a few flavors.
We did exactly that. It was I've never experienced. I've 20 plus years of going to festivals. I've never experienced anything like it. It was horrendous.
It was mad. It was like a fucking SAS, like, trial type thing. That whole weekend of just trying to survive.
One morning I came out of my tent and well, the tent that was opposite me was just sort of like in the way of the sun, so there was a shadow. I crawled out of my tent about 7 a.m. and went to sleep in that shadow for about 2 hours until it disappeared.
We were like meerkats, like where the tiny little shadow you get from the gazebo, and we were all just like bunched up, moving along.
It was an experience to behold. But no, that's good. That's good that like that early on, and you got to play something like that. Would you do it again? The whole Metal to the Masses thing?
I don't think you can. I think once you've done it, then you've done it.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. Why would you do it again? Yeah. You've already won it.
No.
Well, I mean, play Bloodstock again. That'd be wicked.
Yeah, we'd love to play the Sophie stage next. Hopefully next year.
That gets packed out. I mean, for sort of up and coming bands, I remember catching Talk to Demon last year, and like they pulled a massive crowd that day, and that kind of exposure you just can't. You can't buy that kind of shit. So
even the Thursday night when they have the bands on there, the Thursday night, like
captive audience, isn't it? You've got everybody. Yeah.
I saw Pest Control there the year just gone, and it was rammed for them.
They were fucking good. They were on fire at Bloodstock. They were really good. They're going to go a long way, that band, I think. But anyway, back to you guys. That's more important. Any of you in bands before this, or was this kind of like first go at this, or?
Dan was. I mean, I was in like absolutely dog shit hardcore bands when I was like 16, but like nothing.
Nice. I was in a few hardcore bands like when I was in my early 20s, and then fell out of love with the scene more than anything really. Like it was quite cliquey at that time, and I still love a lot of people from it, and I still love the music. But I think if you fall out with people, especially like ex-band members and stuff, you can kind of not feel welcome in there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get
that. A little bit of I don't know, animosity, even though it's nothing personal. So it's just kind of like, can take some time out. I actually kind of started mixing like house music and stuff like that, just because I wanted to be doing something music, but couldn't be asked with all the politics of the band, like trying to get, I mean, even at the moment, trying to get 5 people in the same place and at the same time is a fucking miracle. And I don't know how we do it so often. But even then, in the hardcore days when it was like 4 people, like it was an absolute nightmare, especially when you're that age as well. Like people aren't in proper jobs that like stable jobs. And just one of those things really, but still love my hardcore.
I think we're quite good for that though. Like you said, like I remember we did an interview with Bloodstock and someone asked me and Matt, like, oh, how do you deal with, falling out or like disagreements and stuff? And we were just, it hasn't happened. I can't remember once we've ever even come close to like bad words or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose early days yet, but I mean, I guess it's almost natural that it would happen at some point, wouldn't it? You put 5 people in a room together, at some point you're going to disagree, aren't you? So it's, I suppose it's just kind of, you deal with it. If you're close enough friends, then you'd work through it. But you can see bands been together for 20 years end up falling out.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think a lot of it might come from the writing stuff, like if someone doesn't like a riff that you've written or something like that. But I think we're pretty good at saying that, if one of us doesn't like a riff or the drums or something, we will just say, and there's no egos. We're like, okay, like what should we ever look at then?
Yeah, that's fair. That's cool. That's cool. But so you guys have come from the hardcore background. I can hear hardcore in Verminthrone anyway, and I kind of guess that it gives you an opportunity to cross over into a couple of different, for want of a better term, scenes. It's not always the best terminology, but you would, the sound you've got, you'd be comfortable with on a hardcore bill when you're a metal, death metal, anything. I can see you having that sort of crossover appeal, which should put you in good stead.
Well, I think it's a blessing and a curse, because I think we were talking about this the other day, like say you are just a doom band or you are just a thrash band or whatever. it's quite easy to get quite far in the scene because if someone's like thrash and you're a thrash band, cool, they like you. Whereas we're a bit weird and people sort of have to make their own minds up and whether they like us or not. But then, like you were saying, you know, there's the blessing part of it is that, you know, we can be on hardcore builds, which we are, and are continuing to do so, and we can be on sludgy builds, doomy kind of builds, all kinds of weird stuff, which is.
But I think the thing is, and that we've definitely been able to do this in the album, is our live show is very much hardcore kind of vibe to it. It's not like we're intense, we're aggressive, we kind of make it kind of like how do I say? What do you say when you kind of morbid curiosity? Like that's the kind of vibe I want to bring to the show. Like you don't want to look, but you kind of can't help yourself from looking.
Yeah.
So I feel like compared to our EP, which we had to rush out because when we won Bloodstock, we had no tracks. We hadn't recorded anything. So we had to do 4 songs that we had, get it banged out, didn't spend a lot of time on polishing the tracks. Whereas now this, I think it's much more representative of like kind of who we are in a live environment and just a more polished sound.
Yeah, let's talk about the Cull then, because like I said, we've heard it, we've had it for a while, and I think it is it's just a great album. And in terms of the writing of the songs and the writing the riffs, everything like that, how do you all come together with it? Is it all joint effort, or does one of you do the bulk of it? How does it all work?
We've got a process really where like me or Matt, the other guitarist, will write either a riff or like a few riffs or a whole song sometimes, and then we bring it to practice, and then the other guitarist will have a look and maybe be like, oh yeah, but why don't you sort of make that faster or slower or something like that. And then Adam, the drummer, will fuck around with some drums and we'll decide what works, and Pal, the bassist, will do the same thing. And then Dan basically just goes away with it, and then the next week he comes back with vocals, and then we decide if we like it or not, tweak, and then on to the next one. It's always been that like process.
Yeah, it's been pretty efficient as well. Like, I mean, in the last kind of 2 weeks we've written 1.5 songs pretty much. It goes through stages of being like really efficient and then like a little bit of,
and we hit a wall.
Yeah, we can't get anywhere with a certain idea, so we'll just scrap it and then move on to the next one, then come back to that later on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it like I said, it's a very cool album. So it's digital release.
I really like the second track of the album, which stood out for me. Is It Always Snows in South America.
Yeah.
The middle part.
What's that all about?
Yeah, I was going to say that. What kind of snow are we talking about? You know, some of the riffs in that song are really good, and that I think, regardless of whatever genre you want to say, that I think me and Tregenza both think the riffs. It's all about the riffs on this album, and they're pretty cool. And there's a lot of groove there, which that's the thing I really like. It's a really good job. So kudos to you.
Cheers, man. Yeah, we try and groove everything up as much as we can.
I can't lie. I only started listening to the album yesterday. Right?
At least you're honest.
No. I am terrible at listening to new stuff. So if I do listen,
it is a problem.
But listen to an album all the way through. That's kind of like high praise indeed. In fact, part of the reason we started this podcast was to force me to listen to anything recorded after 1994. So yeah, it's definitely really. It caught me. I had it when I was cleaning, and I was like, brushing up, and I had to stop and go, "Yeah, that's all right." Yeah, and then go back to that. So it's
high praise indeed.
Yeah.
That mix of sort of hardcore grit and Sabbathy riffs, it does just work. My particular one is the way the album finishes. Feral, the last riff on the end of that song. I do love an album finisher. Some bands will just, the last track will be just a bit of fucking tack it on the end, but I've always got a lot of time for an album finisher, and that will stick. That song, it just rounds off the album, and it sounds like it will be a great one live as well, because it's just a big old fucking riff on the end.
It's the first song we ever wrote, and
oh, really? Okay.
When I was still trying to be a doom band.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. Dan really likes the end. I like the end as well, but Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? That track.
Yeah,
I think
it feels very old for us in our like.
Yeah, I suppose we played it a million times.
We
Yeah.
wanted to have it on the album because it was part of our identity a little bit, and we managed to make it a little bit more like our current stuff. Like it was a lot slower before, and it didn't really have a proper ending. But we've managed to like groove it up a little, make it a little bit more like us for the album, and we're really happy with kind of how it turned out and how it's evolved from being the first song that we ever wrote and jammed. Really.
Yeah, I can see it as a set closer type thing all day long, because that riff on the end is just fucking, like Padre said, it just kind of makes you sort of sit up and take notice. And I've always loved that. I do love an ending riff. You know, you go back to things like Davidian and stuff like that, and sometimes you just can't beat that. Yeah,
really interesting to hear that.
Outros are one thing, but like it made me think like what I like is a good intro as well. I'm not talking about a song. I'm actually talking about like a 30-second, 1 minute 30-second. So like the one I've got in mind is, do you remember like the intro of Schizophrenia by Sepultura? Like that's dying up. We need more of that, I think. I don't know what you guys think.
I can't record Schizophrenia.
I don't.
All I can hear is like rap. I can never fucking say it. One of the other Sepultura songs.
We fucking saw them last year, Dan.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. They're all like Brazilian names and haven't got.
Oh, you mean that's it? Ratamahata.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, thank you. That's it.
Yeah.
But it was a thrash thing, wasn't it? To have like your acousticy kind of intro, and it sort of, you know, then goes into
like the intro on Schizophrenia it's like no vocals, 1 minute 30, and they used to open the live show with it. And it's it's not acoustic. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, little things like that. I mean, you've got other shittier examples like what was it, Terror in Tinseltown on Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue. But
let's not bring Crue into the conversation.
No.
One step too far. But
I can't really think of any others.
We were fucking around with an intro last night, remember, Dan, of that new one. It was way longer than our normal intros, and it was like 2 guitars, not even drums, for like 30 seconds or so.
Unusual for us, but that's good. Like, you want to keep it new and different, don't you? But still retain your own sound. Like, you don't want to be writing the same fucking songs over and over again. And I think that's another thing. Like, it's given us a lot of freedom by just doing what we want to do and not being like we're a sludge band, we're a doom band, or a hardcore band. Like, we're all of them things in parts. And being able to have that freedom means if we write a riff, if we write a song, we fucking like it, we like it, and it's our song.
Yeah, I can see how it's something fast paced would equally work just as much as anything else. And breakdowns, you've got a formula going. I think you fucking nailed it. You know what I mean?
I mean, some of the other bands that we've had on the pod, like for example, we spoke to Tailgunner last year, and they were saying they don't like being labelled by certain groups. Like they're just a heavy metal band. And I think some of the other bands we've spoken to, they don't really love the idea of just being labelled something and then having to be almost like beholden to that, because like what you were saying about like the scene being cliquey, and it comes with its own kind of set of inherent rules that you've got to sound this way or you've got to look this way, and it becomes more of a curse than anything else. So the fact that you got
it's an easy way of doing
many different influences, I can see that. I can see how it must be liberating.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, if you have rules and you follow them, and then people like you, it's because you are a thrash band, so you play fast and you whatever. It's just a not a cheap way of sort of getting further, but it's I feel like it's a bit of a cop out just sticking religiously to one subgenre of metal, when in fact most of us, or almost all metal fans, don't only like one subgenre of metal.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, while you're on that, then, I know this sort of goes back, but are either of you two Metallica fans? Let's go. Yeah. Okay. So what are your stance? Because you talk about that, like sticking to one trick, which a lot of bands have done. A lot of bands have done it really well. But if there's one band that do create that complete Marmite opinion, it's Metallica. So where do you two stand on the way they went from Justice to Black Album and Load and all that kind of shit? So just completely changing up their sound. That A, and B, what did you think of 72 Seasons? Just curious.
I wasn't a huge fan of 72 Seasons. I didn't hate it or anything. It just didn't. It's like you know, if I'm going to listen to Metallica, I'm going to listen to, you know, Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All, Puppets, whatever. I just wouldn't choose to put 72 Seasons on, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
it
pretty much the
it
same.
does make sense. It's just interesting to hear because we loved it 72 seasons, but it's always even now it still generates conversation and opinion. I'm always curious to know what people sort of think about their whole shift in sound.
I think the shift in sound is brilliant. I mean, you know, obviously, like Black Album is totally different to the first two albums, and then like Load and Reload, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, are different as well. Yeah, no, I mean, you can't have a career as long and successful as Metallica just doing one thing, and not everything they do is going to appeal to everyone. You know, you can't be all things to all men. That's absolutely fine, but they've got some fucking bangers from the beginning through to like where they are in their career now. Fair play to them.
You see, I thought even Death Magnetic, I really enjoyed Death Magnetic. I thought that was a pretty fucking good album.
I love Death Magnetic.
Yeah.
Like, Unforgiven 3 when that builds up, like fucking love that.
Yeah.
What's your favourite Metallica album?
Look, it always going to be between Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, and I think a lot of it depends on mood. Sometimes I put Ride the Lightning on and just think this is the greatest fucking metal album that's ever been made.
It comes in hard.
Yeah, it's a really hard one. Can you imagine banging out something like that when you're 22, 23 years old, though?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, I've got a lot of love for Cliff, and just I would have loved to have seen at least one more album with Cliff on it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the same as Tregenza. It's Ride the Lightning or Puppets, but then again, I've got a lot of time for Kill 'Em All and Justice as well. And again, like, you know, we've got one of my mate who got me into metal all these years ago. He to this day he says Justice for All is almost like metal art. It's like it's a piece of artwork. The whole thing, the music, the aesthetic, the lyrics, everything. I mean, the intricacy of it. So that, I mean, that's got. I mean, I really like listening to Justice for All on vinyl. I think it sounds much better on vinyl than it does on anything else. Like what other bands do you usually listen to? Like what were the bands that kind of got you into what you do now?
Do you know what my favorite band at the moment is? King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards. I fucking love King Gizzard, man.
In the 25 minutes we've been doing this, they've released 2 albums.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My music taste is so varied, honestly. Like,
yeah, it is.
From hip hop to dance music to fucking heavy. Like, Gulch is one of my favorite bands. Like, if you haven't checked out Gulch, it's really horrible to listen to, but I love it. Like, proper screeching. Yeah, really good. And the Gulch drummer is now the vocalist for Drain, and Drain.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now. So I mean, they're playing Ali Pali with, is it Neck Deep or someone like that?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I saw that.
So,
saw that. Fair play to them.
Pretty mental, yeah. What other bands have I been into? It's just a classic metal bands, really. Lamb of God has always been a big one for me. Brandy Blythe, fucking what year?
I'm trying to think of ones that like we all like things that kind of brought us together. Like we all like I Hate God, we all like Nail Bomb, we all
Down,
like
Pantera.
Down, yeah, Pantera, yeah.
That's why we kind of get our groove from, right? Like Down and
yeah,
Crowbar.
Yeah, meeting Jimmy Bower, like the sort of groovy riff king, was pretty special. So I think we borrow from both I Hate God and Down. I mean, I know he plays drums and Down, but from that guitar kind of stuff quite heavily.
I don't look. You can hear it in music, but
there was a riff earlier. I can't remember which song. When I was listening to the album, there was a riff on one of the songs. I can't remember which song it was, but I kind of I stopped. I thought, reminds me of Corrosion of Conformity.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we saw a bit of them, didn't we, down at Desert Fest last year?
Yeah.
The Electric Ballroom, the sound was dog shit. So
I think we did an episode.
That's what put me off going to meet
the other week, didn't we? On 1994.
Yeah.
Me and Tregenza both said that one of the best albums of '94 was Deliverance.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I'm a massive COC fan. I've only ever seen them once, and I'm kind of happy to leave it there. And you're right, the ballroom. I didn't go to Desert Fest last year, and that place it's a horrible shaped venue anyway, and yeah, more often than not, the sound is shit. So I'm kind of glad I missed that. That's a bit.
Yeah, the sound wasn't great, was it? Who we saw Church of Misery on before them. They were good.
God, I need to see Church of Misery. I fucking love that band.
I saw them twice last year. They supported I Hate God, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, that was fucking wicked. I was fucked. that was a long train journey back.
You're coming into a British metal scene at the minute that's like flying. There's so much great music in this country at the minute, which I suppose on one hand it can be tough to sort of break into, into all of that, but at the same time, so many people putting on gigs. There's, everybody's playing shows everywhere. There's loads of these little regional areas popping up all over the place that are putting on shows. Like for instance, your release show is at Crawford Arms, isn't it, in Milton Keynes?
Yeah,
that venue's becoming really quite pivotal for a lot of bands. So many bands are going through there. So what do you think about the current metal scene in this country and some of the bands that are doing their things? For me, it's just fucking great the way it is at the minute.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the Crawford Arms, like you said, has been quite pivotal for bands. Like you get bands that are way bigger than the Crawford. I think Crawford's about 300, isn't it, Dan? Something like that.
275 caps, I think.
Yeah,
they had Municipal Waste there last year, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
just being able to see those bands in that kind of in that
Crowbar there. I think it's on in like a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's on the scene. I mean, we're pretty lucky that we've got the Crawford and things like that. And obviously, we're not far from London. I don't know what you think, Dan, but
there's so many bands over even like the past 5 years, isn't there? Like if you think about Conjurer, like loads of bands that I remember in my hardcore days playing with like Ithaca and Venom Prison in a venue that it was the Crawford Arms, and there's probably like less than 100 people there. And now you have these bands touring America and stuff like that, and it just shows like how much talent there is. And I think it's also an advocate for just sticking to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just about making yourself established in the scene before you really do break through. And if it's not on your first album, it could be on your second, it could be on your third, And it's kind of amazing to see them bands that I remember in a smaller cap venue with not full of people, and they're now like selling tours in fucking America and shit like that, which is just nuts to me. I think like bands like Green Lung and shit like that, like absolutely,
they're on, aren't they? They're going up definitely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think they got an American tour with in the works because they're signed to, was it Napalm?
They're on one of the, they're on Nuclear Blast.
Nuclear Blast, that's it. Yeah,
they are. Yeah. So they're just going to keep on going.
Yeah, and massive.
I think you have to enjoy doing the toilet circuit, and because you might be doing it for years before something good, or even if anything good happens, like in general, like even in the last year we've done like, do you remember that gig in
it's not toilet circuit, it's DIY.
Sorry,
DIY shows.
Well, that one in Stoke where it was just like at the back of like a tiki bar, and there was like one of those industrial freezers that like opens up, not the stand-up ones, like the lying down ones. And the band before us, like the bloke he had a really long cord for his microphone. He was like in the toilet at one point, just screaming his head off, and like you have to enjoy.
It's all about love. I love that shit, though. Do you know what I mean? It just
you have to. Yeah, if you don't enjoy that, there's no point doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And you remember that particular thing. So before you know it, 10 years down the line, that band could be playing to 10,000 people, and that's why people need to get out to these local shows.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's
a difficult time at the moment as well, though, for venues. Like
massive.
Costs, bands' overheads are going up, which is then forcing ticket prices up, which is then making people not be able to like afford to go to see bands, and it's just a big fucking cesspit of fucking shit, and it's affecting from probably like the top. Well, probably not fucking people like Ticketmaster, but you know what I mean, like people, venues, bands. Like I remember reading recently about a Reddit thread about which I forget which band it was, but they were talking about, I think it was Kurokoma, or I always forget how you say the name, Kurokoma, one of the sludge bands, and they toured Europe and their overheads, that I mean, they lost money on the tour, even though they played like Brutal Assault Festival.
Yeah, I remember
They
that.
played other things when it's like the van and the driver and all that stuff. They like end up losing. I think it's like £1,000 or something down.
It's crazy.
Even off the merch and stuff. And it's like it's
Well,
not
yeah,
really a job anymore, is it? It's not really a career. It's a hobby that you spend more money than you make. And I think until you get as big as these bands that are playing arenas or academies, that's all it's going to be. And if you're expecting more, then you're just going to be disappointed. And you can only be pleasantly surprised if you go any further than that.
But it really is only like the top. Like I remember I was talking to Alex from Gatecreeper at Bloodstock, and he was saying, excuse me, he was saying that they're out. I think it was like 9 months of the year on tour, something mental like that.
Yeah,
and like they just played main stage at Bloodstock, and he had this like little laminated card thing, and he didn't know where he was the next day. He'd say he was at Brutal Assault the next day, and he was like, "Oh fuck, I'm in fucking Czech Republic."
that's a long journey overnight, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. But the thing that really got me, we were chatting for ages, and the thing that really got me was that he was saying when he gets back to Arizona, they not just him, all of them, like they work, they have other jobs.
Yeah.
Like fucking hell, like you're on like main stage, and you know you're touring and stuff. It's like I couldn't believe it. Absolutely couldn't believe it.
It is. It's mental. And you see places like Boom in Leeds, for instance, which is another like quite iconic venue, and so many bands play there. Yet they're having to have benefit shows to stay open.
They had Converts play there recently, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did a fucking.
That looked fucking mental from what I saw.
You know, but if they're having to do things like that just to keep the fucking place open, something's very wrong.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know,
where's the money going? And you know, if you want to see Tregenza get animated, just mention merch.
Yeah, merch cuts.
The percentages. Yeah.
But the O2 Academy is pretty scam right there, like on the West.
It's just fucking disgraceful. I mean, I think I can't remember who I was talking to, but some of them up to 40%.
Bloodstock had a good system for merch. I think it was just like a flat fee, wasn't it, Dan? It wasn't much. It was like 40 quid or something, and it's like, and we will just sell your merch for you for the weekend.
That's quite. But at least you know where you stand with that. That's
it's not a percentage cut. It's just like a flat fee for them to.
And if they're doing it for you, that kind of makes sense. You know, they're not just taking a cut for the sake of taking a cut, kind of thing. So
yeah,
but then in the O2 academies, they had people that wouldn't let them use their own merch people and stuff, right? They like refused and then took a large cut. Was it Architects or someone that straight up refused to sell merch? I forget, there was some band and they were just like, we're not selling merch because of X, Y, and Z.
But it just, people miss out then. I mean, look, you see quite a few bands these days that will like sell it in a pub down the road or off the back of their own van or something like that. But
that's what I Hate God did at Bloodstock, because when they come on stage, they said, we will never let anybody take any money from us to sell our merch. And they were like, come and find us in our tour van after, pretty much. So
look, if you,
they're fucking old school punk, you know what I mean? Like,
fair play, you know, but
yeah. I mean, I think they're a band that's very much about their principles, right? Like,
yeah.
From the 90s, and they've been fucking that kind of mentality. So respect for them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Up to that.
Completely fair play to them. But it's it is something that irks me when I walk into a venue and it's 35 quid for a fucking t-shirt, and you just know that only a couple of quid of that is actually going in a band's pocket. It's criminal. Can't fucking stand it. But this is the world we live in, unfortunately. And like Padre said, the money is going somewhere. Someone is making money. Like I say, the O2 venues, especially when you're paying 40, 50 quid a ticket in the first place, someone is making money somewhere.
Unless you go
and
see.
I think some of it is like, do you remember the Crawford, Dan, when they did that post about their gas and electricity bill? I can't remember the figures, but it was fucking ridiculous what it went up to. Like truly insane. Like, how the fuck are you still open, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's where it's going. Like, maybe, I don't know.
If it is, that's really shit, because that's, you know, no one in the industry is making money. If it's all going in the pocket of fucking energy companies, that's 10 times worse than fucking the petrochemical cunts that he's making money out of.
When I saw Kiss in Birmingham, they're making a lot of money on merch. Like, 30 quid. How about double that? Like, for a t-shirt, Like,
Now, why don't you tell everyone how much you paid for your ticket for Kiss?
I paid a $5. Yeah,
Oh, was it one of those where they just wanted to fill seats?
yeah.
Nice.
It was, yeah. Just
Oh.
I was like,
It was like last minute.
saw a bit of them at downloads the previous year, but then I end up in Electric Wizard, and I was a bit fucked up, and I don't really remember much of Electric Wizard. Apart from some guy coming up to me, he's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, he was off his face. He's like, "Cocaine's the devil. You want some weed?" And I'm like, "Okay." And then he just went off into the crowd, and I never saw him again. That was my experience of the first time seeing Electric Wizard, and yeah, that was the story. And then because I didn't see all of Kiss, I was like, yeah, fuck it, $5. And it's actually one of my favorite gigs I ever went to.
Oh, look, mate, it's a fucking incredible show, isn't it?
Oh, mate, yeah, it's just like
Wild.
It's not serious at all. Like, you know, it's just like rock and roll in it. Like, I'm a huge fan of dad rock, and I fucking hope AC/DC announced tour on Monday.
Monday, innit? Yeah, yeah. I see.
Oh, mate, that's what I grew up on: AC/DC, Zeppelin, Sabbath, Judas Priest. You know, Pink Floyd. That's kind of
look, that's a $5 well spent on Kiss. I saw them in 2017, 2016, I think, and that was 80 quid a ticket, and it was still money well spent. Like,
yeah.
You know, that fair play. Anyway, back to you guys. We're fucking going off on tangents. Does happen on this podcast, unfortunately. What's the plans now then? The album comes out as this podcast will drop. The album will be out in a few days on the 16th of February. You drop that, you got your album release show in MK. What's the plan then for the rest of the year? You want to get out, just play a fuckload of shows, or get festivals? What's the idea?
All of the above, really, isn't it? Like, yeah. I think the plan is we've already got quite a few shows in the pipeline for places we've never played before, so we're really looking forward to like spreading our wings in that sense. Just whatever gets thrown at us, really. We're hoping to get a little bit of momentum following the album. We only have 5 tracks out at the moment. 4 tracks
old ones, yeah.
Before, 4 old tracks and then the 1 single from the album. So we're essentially like tripling the amount of tracks. So hopefully people get a proper sense of who we are once it comes out, and there's demand for us to want to play places, because, you know, we're always willing to fucking turn up, be miserable, do our thing, and make people leave without a smile on their face, you know.
I think
they're smiling on the inside, though.
Yeah.
You fed their souls.
I think we're a little bit unlucky with the timing, because I think in terms of festivals, they're largely booked up by now.
Yeah,
but I think
this year, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the album, like the production on it is phenomenal. We were so lucky to work with Tom Dring. He's worked with so many amazing bands, and I think, you know, whether the songs are shit or not, like the production is still really good. So
they're definitely not shit, mate.
It would be cool. I'd love to maybe jump on over tour with like a bigger band in the scene that's willing to take us on. Like, you know, just whatever you throw at us, man, I'll fucking take it and chew it and spit it out again. Like, totally up for it.
And that's all you can do, isn't it? You put yourself out there, and like you say, it's just all about breaks. I mean, you know, Crowbar about to go out and they take in Human Nature out with them, and that's the sort of thing I really like to see. It's, you know, the country you're in, take out a band from that country, and it gives them that exposure. And you never know what's around the corner, kind of thing. So,
in Human Nature are fucking awesome as well.
Yeah. I
heard they're just recording their second album, or is it third? Because they had
the second full length, wasn't it?
Full length, yeah.
We had Chris on here quite a long time ago, and I talked to him quite a lot. And fucking great band. So it's again,
it's like that new wave fresh, isn't it?
Yeah. And it all gets compared to Power Trip, doesn't it, and things like that these days. But that's kind of the go-to. But you know what? Fuck it. If it's good riffs and it's great songs, it's good. You guys heard of a band called Lowest Creature?
Yeah, oh man, yeah, I got Lowest Creature merch. Yeah, Swedish, right?
Fucking great. But we've had them on twice, and they are just fucking wicked. The album last year was a banger. We stumbled on them basically on the previous album, and then we fell in love with them, didn't we, Padre? Just such a great fucking band. And
I
really great guys as well.
I've just turned into a complete Lowest Creature fanboy. The song "Sacrilegious Pain" is probably responsible for getting me out into actually going, new music. There's some good stuff out there. I just remember being in the staff room at work, the teachers' room, just at like 9 a.m, with the volume on my Bluetooth speaker turned right up, and people are like, "What the fuck is that noise?" I'm like, "Shut up, it's Lowest Creature. They're really good. Shut up." Yeah. But yeah, they're definitely worth checking out.
I'd love to see them
The
come
new
to the UK.
Yeah, look, I've already tried to book them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're with Stronger Bookings now, and I've tried. They're not planning to come here yet, but it is in the thinking over the next kind of like 12 months. So
Maybe we can do a gig swap. Fucking Verminthrone, go over to
There you go.
Gothenburg, is it? Or
I think, yeah, are they Gothenburg? No, I think they moved. They were from the north. And I think they moved down to Stockholm to base themselves,
right.
to get more opportunities.
Yeah.
But the Swedes have got the right idea. There's, we talk about Sweden quite a lot, and having Lowest Creature on kind of helped us sort of dive into how they do things over there.
They were telling
you
us
get fucking government grants for rehearsal space.
Yeah, they were telling us that I think it was their local council. There was like a kind of a disused warehouse or an industrial complex.
Yeah, that was it.
The local council just bought it and just turned it into a rehearsal space for bands. And I didn't think they had to pay a very, very small subsidized amount to rent space and storage and everything. And again, like the government grants they get, because
Arts Council grant, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Swedish government views it that I think their music scene now is quite a high percentage of their GDP, so it is an investment.
Really?
So it's.
I can't think of many more current Swedish bands. In Flames Swedish.
Yeah, In Flames are Swedish, but
yeah,
they
you have to be careful because you could literally like offend one whole Scandinavian country by saying one's Danish when they're Swedish, or Finnish when they're Norwegian. Like, the black metal fans.
The Swedes are a completely different animal, I think, when it just comes to metal. There's you're In Flames, you're at the gates, you're Haunted, fucking, and even now, like I said, bands like Lowest Creature, they've always got.
When in the winter you get like 1 hour of sunlight, that's pretty like inspiring stuff, right? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might just lock myself in a room in the summer for like 23 hours and see how I fucking write.
It's different, isn't it? Like Entombed, Candlemass, Opeth, Meshuggah.
Yeah.
Meshuggah Swedish.
It's an endless list. Yeah, Meshuggah.
They're not a big population.
No, yeah, they're smaller than the size of London, right? Smaller than the London population.
I think population-wise, yeah.
London's about 10 million, isn't it?
But between Sweden and Finland, they kind of got a huge monopoly on, like, per head of capita. It's metal band per 100 people kind of thing. It's a crazy number. So they're obviously doing something.
We were talking about where to do like a non-UK tour. It might be worth.
I was going to ask you about that. Actually, getting outside of the UK, which is obviously harder now than it would have been 5 years ago.
I do have family in Sweden that could maybe help us out, but I don't know. I was chatting to actually a band in Sweden called. My memory's not the best, and it's because of reasons. So I'm not going to say it publicly, but chatting to a band, and there's a label out there that's pretty cool that I also forget the name from, but they said that they could potentially try and help us out in a gig swap. So watch out, Sweden. We're going to come and be shit there too.
Let's get fucking Lowest Creature involved. If I get them over here, then whatever we can do to help that'd be fucking great. But it's getting out into Europe. I think getting onto festivals and things like that would be huge, wouldn't it, for a British band?
Yeah. There's a lot of overheads now compared to before. Yeah, that's the only problem. I don't want to go too much into politics and Brexit because I can't get into it anymore. It stresses me out too much thinking about it.
We'll be able to. It's a shame. Even for the bigger bands now, they coming over from the US and whatnot. Some of them are making that choice between touring the UK or touring Europe. It's not both anymore. It's one or the other, and it sucks. It really does.
Yep.
But I suppose that's the world we live in.
Well, my wife is Canadian, and when you actually deal with the immigration system in the UK, like I have to earn a minimum amount in order to my wife to qualify for a visa. So unless you and that affects where you need to live then. and it's ridiculous. And it's like it actually penalizes people like me who are like just normal every day. I want to move back to the UK with my wife, and I can't. So it's just,
Well, we're trying our hardest not to let you back in. That's
Yeah,
I know.
we all signed a petition.
But at some point, though, you're going to need me. You need me. You're going to need
No,
me
we
to
don't.
come back, and I'll be like, kind of like the way I picture it is like I'm like Gandalf returning, and everyone's like, thank fuck that he's back.
Yeah, no,
You never know if you stay in
Let's not
Saudi
shout.
Arabia long enough. If you stay in Saudi Arabia long enough, you might end up fighting Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua or something.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that'll be a payday. That'll sort you out. I'd like to see that.
Come back with a load of.
I would like to see
followers.
that. Just a few kind of sort of cliche questions, and really, because why not? Who would you like to tour with over anybody else, given the opportunity? No matter how big or small.
Do they have to be a current band?
Nah, not at all. Someone comes along and even a big reunion tour, something like that, 30 dates around Europe. We want you to come and support. Who would it be?
Probably like Sabbath in the 70s or the 80s. Like,
well, you're not asking much, man.
Current band, I fucking
Snowblind.
I'd say who I'd fucking love. I think we'd we would suit it. I'd absolutely love to tour with Malevolence. I think their shows look absolutely mental. I've seen them only once at Bloodstock. 22, I think it was, yeah. But yeah, maybe Malevolence for me, I think.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that working, definitely.
They were sick live. Really, really, really sick.
Absolutely mental.
Pet peeves in metal.
Gatekeeping, really. Like, just let people, and also people that are like, I fucking love Taylor Swift, yeah, but I also love fucking music where they talk about fucking killing themselves and doing drugs and all this other shit. Like, you can like what you like. You don't have to like shit just because someone tells you that you have to like it. Like, who gives a fuck, man? Like, Taylor Swift, great songwriter. Like, you're allowed to dislike something, you're allowed to like it. Just don't make people explain themselves. Like, like, I don't get that. Like,
the other thing that gets me, it's totally different, is like, and I suppose this is a podcast, so people can't see me, but like really shit, weak, like rock hands when people go like that. Just fucking do it or don't.
Shit,
people like that. So
he just basically hates people with arthritis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It gets on my nose when people are doing that and they've got nothing to do with metal. That bugs me. It's like
Yeah, it's just become a bit of a nothing symbol, isn't it? It's almost I don't know. I prefer a fist more than not in that way.
Oh,
I prefer two.
Well, if you can get both in, then why the fuck not? But,
is it the sunflower or something?
Whoa, what?
Is that not it? The sunflower?
Yeah,
that's fucking hell. No. I've got work tomorrow now. None of that. Yeah,
we can play like the Muppets. Like,
look, I'm fully with you on gatekeeping. But Taylor Swift, have you watched the documentary? I think it's a Netflix documentary on Taylor Swift.
About the Americana one.
I think so. Yeah,
like talking about like influencing votes when Trump was in.
Yeah, all that's in there. Yeah.
She's just at the end of the day, she's just a girl that was like in the fucking system from a young age, and now everybody hates her because it's popular to hate her. Like,
Sorry, how does she influence votes?
Oh, it wasn't influencing votes. Basically, there was some LGBTQ vote in Supreme Court, and she was like kind of telling people to vote yes or no, depending on what the good option was, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But there was a little bit of that in it. Just
It was one of those situations where she was like, she always actively stayed away from having strong opinions, didn't she? And like one thing she got involved with, and all of a sudden she's the enemy kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's crazy when you read about. I can't believe we're talking about Taylor Swift, but she's when she goes to places, she increases their like GDP by like up to 5% or something.
I saw that
in one show, like crazy.
No, I'm familiar with that.
That could be you.
I usually increase the GDP value of any country I move to. So yeah,
the price of oil has gone through the fucking floor. So actually, you stay there, and petrol's a bit cheaper. So that would probably
no, that's that. where I am now, they're moving past oil. Okay, they're trying to get the World Cup. You know, it's everyone's loving it, mate. Trust me.
I don't care. I'm an electric wanker now, so it doesn't matter anymore.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Exactly.
I'm a diesel wanker who just failed his MOT today.
Nice. Always pleasant.
Love that.
Always pleasant. The family diesel wagon's got an MOT next week, so I feel your pain. It's going.
Good luck.
Yeah. Enough of Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
Frustrations about being in a band. I mean, you may not have come across it because you've been together sort of 3 or 4 years, but the main frustrations of being in a band and not getting and achieving the things you want to achieve. What pisses you off?
We've only been together 2 years, so we haven't been together enough for each other to piss us, and for each other to piss each other.
I think one of the things that pisses me off, and this probably goes like all ways, and I think it's just part of being in like an industry or a scene, is like sometimes like lack of communication from either promoters or just not hearing back from like people out of courtesy. And it's understandable, these people probably get thousands of emails, but it's just an irk, really, like especially when you spend a lot of time trying to network with people. And
I've never known anything like it. I've never known people to be so unresponsive and like just not unprofessional, but like rude, basically.
That's mad. Yeah. You wouldn't expect that though. Within, as cliched as it sounds, within the metal scene, we're all supposed to be this big family and all that kind of thing.
There's a lot of metal bands though. I always think I know most bands in the scene, and then I see like 1,000 bands comment on a post or something, and I'm like, I've never heard of any of these. So it must be pretty tiring as a promoter or as a journalist or something. You have to stand out, and you have to make it worth their time as well. How do you sell yourself when there's 100 other people selling yourself? How do you go different, and how do you make it worth their time? Because at the end of the day, we could get a gig in the middle of Mongolia, nobody's going to turn up. Do you know what I mean? So it's not worth the. So and also
that is the most annoying part for sure.
Yeah, that's probably the most annoying part, but it's a small irk really in the bigger picture. Like these things just come with time and with reputation, really.
We still get to play loads of shows. I mean, we've got 10 booked in already for the year, something like that.
Quite a few, loads to announce. To be honest, that we're just waiting on posters and announcement dates and stuff. So. Yeah, look forward to it.
That's good. That's what you got to do.
Really busy this year.
Is it hard to balance it with normal life? Are you finding that difficult yet?
I see my girlfriend less than I did. Maybe before the band started, to be honest. Yeah, she's got to the point now where she expects me to be busy on bank holiday weekends, because usually that's when gigs are put on, right?
Yeah.
So I think this August, she's like, I guess you're away for this August doing band stuff, and I'm like, yep. And she's like, hate you. I'm like, hate you too.
Is she into the same music?
No.
Okay.
She is not into metal at all.
Right. Okay.
Sometimes because we both work from home mostly, and she can hear me with the headphones on. She's like, "What the fuck are you listening to? It just sounds like someone's getting murdered." And I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much. Like that's Gulch, But she likes. I don't know why we're fucking talking about her now. It's nothing to do with her, but King Gizzard, Wizard, and all that.
Talk about whatever you want, mate.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get her.
We're quite lucky in like balancing it. Like, well, apart from Matt, we all work like Monday to Friday, so weekends like we're around and things like that. That our schedules are like pretty similar. That's quite nice.
I suppose that kind of puts you in a position where you're also fighting with everybody else in the same boat, aren't you? Everyone's looking for weekend gigs, and that's where promoter knows they're going to sell more tickets because it's on a Saturday night. And
but then we said like we got offered a gig recently, and I won't say where it is because I don't want to be rude, but it was on a Sunday, and we'd like known some other bands that like played at this place, and just fucking no one goes, and we just thought we're going to be picky now, like we're not going to take. So basically, of course, we're not only ever going to do Friday and Saturday gigs, but I swear like most of the ones we've got lined up down, they're all Fridays and Saturdays, really.
Yeah,
it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Sundays bring back the old fucking Sunday hardcore matinee kind of show and do that instead, and I think you get more.
We did one in Cambridge. Do you remember that one, Dan? On a Sunday, we played at like fucking 3:00 in the afternoon or something.
Yeah, it was random, really random.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
It's an old school thing. Look, it's the album. Like I said, let's go back to the album just quickly. give yourself the last kind of plug for it. It's out on February 16th, so in a few days from this. Coming out on CD, you've got a physical release with it as well.
Yeah, I got it here in front of me.
There you go.
I sat on this fucking thing yesterday at practice, and I've already ruined the digipack. So this is one of one. This is like the coin that had the Queen's face fucked on it. Like, you know what I mean?
Any thoughts about getting it on vinyl? I know it costs a fucking fortune, but would you want to?
If there was interest,
If there's interest, we do it, yeah.
definitely, yeah. But like when you're looking at quotes and it's like minimum run of what, like 250 or something, or 100 minimum run, and that's like already nearly £1,000, and you're like, I don't want to be stuck with like 90 vinyls in my house because 10 people buy them. It's like fucking sitting on gold. That's not worth anything. Do you know what I mean?
Tough on that. I don't know. I think the way things are going at the minute, you only need to build a relatively small reputation, and vinyl you'll shift.
You think?
It's mad the way it is at the moment. I buy vinyl, and it's crazy now. It's a pre-order of something in a particular color or a splatter vinyl or whatever that an initial run can sell out in no time at all. So
yeah, definitely worth considering. I mean, it'd be cool just to have, isn't it? In general, like I would really have that just for like a keepsake, even for me when I look back when I'm old or dead, one of the two. Don't know.
No, I'll take one copy off your hands and probably get rid of a couple more. So I'll have number one or number two. You have number one. I'll have number two.
He's sat on number one, but yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I forgot to mention it's got like a dildo on the front. That's why I sat on it. I don't know why I said that, man. My brain doesn't sometimes like think.
Sunflowers, dildos, whatever. Sort of
I'm quite familiar with the lack of filter. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's no filter on this podcast. I told you that at the start, so don't worry about that. Look, guys, it's been wicked fun. Thanks loads for coming on. We will be seeing you again very soon, which we will talk about in a few weeks' time. But it's been wicked fun. Good luck with the album for a start.
Cheers,
I genuinely think it's going to be really well received. I think it's a fucking great album. You're coming into a sort of a sound where you're going to fill a bit of a gap. There's a few bands doing what you do maybe, but you've got a sound that's quite unique, and I don't know, in this day and age that's quite rare. So massive kudos to you, and I hope it all goes well for you. I really do.
We're like I always say we're like a mongrel dog, like mix of kind of like a thrash dog that fucked a doom dog that fucked a death metal dog.
Horrible fucking.
Everyone loves a mongrel dog.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, one ear up, one ear down, wonky eyes,
3 legs.
Yeah, all of that. So
but like 3 legs, like what? Like a leg on the side, or like a leg in the front? So it's like a Robin Reliant, but it's
one central leg, and then
like, when you ask it to shake hands, it's like that. It's like.
Yeah, that doesn't work on an audio podcast, but look, guys, genuinely good luck with it. I really hope it goes well, and anybody who's listened to this who hasn't heard of Verminthrone yet, go and have a listen to what's out at the minute. The album will be out in a few days. It'll be on, I'm assuming, Spotify, Apple Music, all the usual.
Yeah, Bandcamp as well if you fancy sending some dosh rather than
putting some money in your pocket. Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is. Whatever you listen to, it'll be on probably YouTube as well. Like whatever. It's just at the end of the day, like we're not making a living, so whatever you can.
I've got to say,
I'd rather you listen to it than pay for it.
Just fucking listen to it.
One of the things I like the most is like, and what I'm getting from Dan is there's a real. I'm liking the nonchalance. There's a darkness and a melancholy coming from you. I think that's gonna fuel your progression as a band. Keep it going.
Well, from me, well, yeah. That comes,
You haven't seen them on
there's nothing like trauma to make you like a bit fucked in the head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm
Misery loves.
When I'm miserable on stage, I'm generally pretty miserable, and I take myself to the darkest place I can get just to fucking.
Yeah, that's what we all.
Therapeutic, man.
Yeah, exactly that. He's the best fucking therapy in the world. So yeah. Right. On that note, I'll call that a night. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Like I said, go and fucking check out Verminthrone and support British music. We harp on about this fucking almost every week, but there's so much great music out there, and anybody who says they're not is clearly not a true metal fan. So
if you don't listen to Verminthrone, I will be displeased, and you'll go on my shit list.
Everyone's on your shit list.
We'll
We'll send you round for a political education. That'll make people listen for a start.
I'll
Keep you
just
away
like
from people's houses.
stand on like a fucking tall thing of books with a noose around my neck, and for every person that doesn't listen, I'll kick one book off.
Oh fuck me, that's bleak.
Be very miserable, mate.
Yeah.
On that note, yeah.
So listen, otherwise there won't be no Verminthrone in like a week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We don't even know how many books he's got in his house, so it might
Can't read.
Yeah, not really. Yeah. That's it. I'm already on my.
Just Mr. Men books piled up.
Oh, this is getting out.
How many green eggs and hams have you got?
2 weeks ago we were talking about Celine Dion, and tonight it's been Taylor Swift and Mr. Men books. So I think we'll call it a night. That's that. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with I have no idea what, because anybody think we plan things in advance, you're very much mistaken. So, but we will be back, and as usual, thanks for listening and stay metal. See you next week.